I've been the subject of many negative comments over the course of my life, and I think that's something a lot of people have experienced. And obviously, we all deal with critique in our own way, but I think there's a part of human beings that is incapable of recognizing what is fair and what is, for lack of a better term, ridiculous. So, for example, if I were to say that I found a person to not be knowledgeable of a topic, I would say, okay, well, this person isn't sophisticated on this. I won't say this person's an idiot, because doing such a thing, in my view, um, does not allow for constructivity, which would thereby lead to the growth or development of that person. Okay, I have MLG Gaming saying hello. Um, and look, I don't have the answers to a lot of things. I haven't had the answers for the various times in which I've tried to speak about relationships or interacting with people. But one thing I feel like I'm able to maintain for the most part is the composure that allows me to receive, I would say, mean things, both in person and online, and not become so disillusioned with the practice of what I do, which is to try and speak in a constructive manner about anything. Um, and a lot of it has to do with confidence is something. Okay, MLG is asking, should I stop talking to girls if they don't want me? Pretty much. And again, I'm not the wrong person to go to for advice on that. Confidence has to do a lot with how we perceive many of the comments that are made our way that we don't necessarily appreciate. So, for example, if someone is to say that I am, how you doing, Envoy? If someone were to say that I am not somehow sophisticated, I would think I was, or dismiss their claim, because I would go back and say, I know about this, I know about that, I know about this, I know about that. Now, if they say I don't know about a certain thing, then it's kind of positional where I can give it goes, because there's a difference between when someone says you're not knowledgeable of something and someone makes some claim about you that is backed by fact, while not necessarily being just a completely negative perception. And CNN Love is writing something, the invisibility or some kind of thing. Anyways, so the confidence thing is a part of it, and really we have to. I think logic also is one thing that needs to be administered here, and it kind of goes like this. Um, when you have a person that you know is not in your, I've actually had, in the course of speaking with some people, one of which being a female, say to me that she was bothered by being spoken about negatively. And I asked her, are these people that you already knew had a negative perception of you? And she said, yes. I said, well, then why be bothered over their comments? They're not trying to help you. They're not trying to alleviate the issue. There are those who get off on this cancerous viewpoint that you must do anything to destroy the image or otherwise perception of a person within your own mind, and sometimes among those who know you. And a lot of times they meet with like-minded people and they all pat each other on the hands. So I've addressed two things: the need for confidence, the need for logic, and it really, I know believing in yourself sounds cliche, but I want one to think of this. If I have people come to my video and say, "Oh yeah, man, you haven't been able to get a relationship because of your practices. How does this person know about my practices?" Um, they say, "Oh, you're only doing this because of this." Such as, for example, I had someone that was saying, "You only have had this trouble because you approached one race," and then I know in my own mind that it's not a race thing, based off of my own experiences. It makes it to where their critique of me, because I've seen something that is contrary to what they're claiming, um, just rendered mute or moot rather. Let me say hello to Winter for Fresh. MLG Gaming says, is it true that celebrity girls have brainwashed girls to thinking that looks matter? I think that celebrities influence people, sometimes not in the best of ways, and a lot of times it has to do with style and appearance, and it gets to a point where you're actually encouraged to not like the way you naturally look, and to administer these artificial products such as makeup and other things to yourself. And really, it's sad because I've actually tried to tell multiple females, in spite of them turning me down, you looked fine the way you actually appear. This need to be disingenuous is not needed. It's not required for someone to see you as attractive, and it doesn't do much in the way of actually having someone want to just do anything. Okay, so VVS says it's crazy how I don't see men dating coaches in other countries. Yeah, seeing in love, I agree with you. Believing in yourself is a must, but also it has to do with logic. So a lot of people, when they become so upset about the opinions of a group, they don't recognize that there are those who have views that are contrary to your own. Yeah, Winter Fresh. I've heard of authoritative theory. I am not so knowledgeable of it as to give you the definition right now, so I'll have to probably come back to you later on with that and see if it actually, what I'm saying is corroborated by that theory. But it has to do with logic being lost on a lot of people when it comes to just, because we all have some basic level of emotion, you know. It might logically make sense to not get married, but a lot of us want to get married. It might logically make sense to, or just make sense to not do many things, but we do them because we want fun. We want something that appeals to us in a way that is not backed by what necessarily is better for us. You see what, okay, MLG says, I just stay away from, because, okay, well that's, yeah, but I want you to understand, this is more so, because I've seen males and females that have this thing of just being so saddened over what people say. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you that I never get bothered by comments, because a lot of them I sometimes think are unfair, or they're not attempting to be nice, or just give you the benefit of the doubt. They're pouring down on you. And one has to recognize that in life's short time span, you have to make the effort. So for example, I could go and, you know, live this life of just doing things all pertaining to me, whether that's my own interest or pursuing the various people and things, and if those people don't reciprocate, I don't feel bad because I tried. Well, VVS, it's not necessarily self-love, it's just understanding that you are, you know, I can't take off my face and reveal another person. I have to deal with what I am and adapt to whatever is disturbing me. There are times where we don't feel as if we can change things. One thing you can't change is someone else's mind. You can change, in most indications or most circumstances, that one or two or maybe 3, 5, 4 things that are bothering you. I know I messed those numbers up. And you have to not become so convinced based off of the reception to your stances, your positions, that they are wrong. If you truly believe in what you claim and what you're doing, you can definitely go and, let me see what, okay, MLG, you messed me up. I've tried to be positive recently, like making videos makes me happy and spending time with my YouTube friends. Well, I'm glad about that, but I just want it to be understood. When we see these negative comments, whether they're on YouTube, Twitter, Skype, or any other location, it's not about how these other things in your life affect it. You have to just not let it get to you, because you have to know that your current state of being is not, it's not something that for the most part can be permanent, unless you have some illness for which there is no cure, most things you can get out of. And, I'm not going to make the claim that I haven't thought, oh, it's all hopeless, because, when we think we're going to change something, you have that person or those two or those three or those five or those six that are telling you, no, you can't change it. No, you can. The dream killers, the detractors, the ones who want you to fall in line with their belief system. And a lot of times those are what the people who make you feel bad want you to do. They want you to be like them. They want you to not have an opinion that is opposite of theirs. They want you to completely dissolve from just being an individual, and being that a lot of times we're made into what we are. I probably wouldn't have ever spoken about relationships in the way that I do if I didn't have the difficulties that I had. I probably would have never gotten into reading and writing if I was just completely surrounded by other people and had no free time to myself to go and look at something that was historical. But they don't want to think of that. They don't want to factor in, how did this person come to be? Why is their mindset this way? And that's why you have to not, if they're not willing to give you the benefit of the doubt in terms of why you are the way you are, why give them the benefit of the doubt in taking what sometimes isn't even constructive critique to heart? What has anyone who's written any comment from an anonymous account ever did for the person who are writing it about? In what way have they tried to improve that person's life? Sometimes they will leave critiques, but they're often riddled with various levels of profanity and ways to try and degrade you. And they actually, when they do that, they counteract their effect rather, because they're saying, well, I think you can improve in these ways, but also I'm going to try and toss you out based off of my belief that I have invincibility. Kind of like the guy that got in trouble on Reddit with the Trump and CNN wrestle thing, where the CNN logo was on the guy's face, and Trump was knocking him over, and they found out who he was. Well, VBS, it's akin to this. They know that what they're saying, if presented in a certain way, could be interpreted constructively. The problem is when they put insults in there, they don't seem to think, or at least they don't care enough to think, that you're not going to want to hear them, because they insulted you when they were giving their supposed way of improvement. But I hope I haven't gotten off topic with this. I want it to be known that the two things that need to be done in terms of not becoming disillusioned over just how people feel is that you have confidence in your belief system, or at least in how what you are, and you also logically think about whatever their comment is. You break it down. You have your defenses. It's just confidence really is the case. If you believe that you tried to project a certain image and it didn't go that way, but that you've attempted something which is beneficial toward other people or yourself, why should you feel bad because someone else doesn't feel that way? And that's really what I'm trying to get here, and I don't want to get off topic or go on for 50 minutes. So I'll have something else out. But really, if there's one thing that was learned over the course of watching this, do not take these comments to heart. They are poison. They are this vile, really negative aspect of freedom of speech, because it's gotten to a point where people can just say whatever and not care how incredulous, how polarizing, how insane it actually is. So I want that to be known, and just stop taking it to an extent that it actually starts bothering you. I know that's not easy to do, but look at it in a way where you say to yourself, I have one life to live. Is it really going to be dominated by people who are not with me on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a yearly basis. Yeah, Winter Fresh. Let's end it with Winter Fresh. It's because they're not in the physical form. So I hope that is a good example I'm talking about. Thank you.